Hey everyone, I'm Marlon Bento Jr. Welcome to the Shoot Par Now Golf Show with my co-host, James Stemmer.
Hey everybody.
Welcome to another episode. Hope everyone's doing well. If you like this show, make sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment. Tell us what you'd like to hear about if you're interested in what we do. We like to cover the tour, talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the Shoot Par Now learning system. That's what I coach here in Florida. And we've been covering golf and talking about golf between each other 25, 30 years.
About 30 years or more. Yeah.
30 years. So we've been doing this
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. But before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, the Divot Board. If you don't have a divot board, you should get one. It's fantastic. And the whole premise is that when you hit balls on a divot board, it'll show you where your divot's going. Oh, this way. It'll show you where your divots go, and you get to see how you impact the ground. So for
inside out or outside in, or
so if you came over the top, right, which is the slicer move, your divot would look like that, right? It would go that way.
Okay.
So that means you kind of slice. And if you go too much inside and you hook, it would kind of go that way.
Okay.
But the whole idea, and this is important, if you guys don't know this, the low point in the golf swing is 3 to 4 inches in front of the center.
Of the ball.
Yeah. And sometimes with the tour players, it's even more, but because when you get higher speed.
Watch some of those beaver pelts.
That's what it's from, right?
Yeah.
So they're actually hitting the ball and then creating their forward divot. They want to have ball, then divot. It's really important. So this is great because if you don't have a lot of time to practice, you can just throw this down in your home, in the backyard.
In addition to showing you which direction, it'll show you where you're impacting.
Well, that's the big thing, right?
Behind it or ahead of the ball.
Yeah, if you hit a lot of fat shots, and you'll see the divot board react like that, which means on the course you would have hit a fat shot. That's not good, right?
No.
So anyway, want to thank Divot Board. If you use, there's a promo code in there. If you use it, you get like a discount, and I think it's up to $30, $40 off to get a discount. So
nice.
Yeah, if you're interested in that, please support that. But anyway. Anything exciting for you just generally in the golf thing, or any golf coming up, or nothing much?
I got the VNA tournament coming up next Monday.
The shotgun, like a...
That's raise money for the Visiting Nurses Association.
That's a good one.
Coast.
Yep.
We're playing down at Trump National in Jupiter.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So that'll be fun.
Yep.
They've got I've never played that course, so I checked the aerial out, went on Google Earth, looked around, and they've got one par 3 there that looks like a mimic of the 17th at TPC Sawgrass.
Oh, it's an island green.
And
well, that's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to playing that. I want to see.
You should get somebody to shoot.
I want to see just how crazy it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? That used to be, okay, so that's next to the Bears Club. That used to be the Ritz-Carlton Jupiter. And then it got bought in the Trump brand. And it got redone. I mean, it's nice. I haven't been there since Trump took over, but I'm sure it'll be very, very exciting. This time of year, it's getting a little warmer. The weather's so nice. We're actually kind of in a rain, like a drought. It's really dry for us. Courses are super fast, but we need some rain. I think we got some coming this week, hopefully. But a lot of the snowbirds have left, right? So now we got a lot of people playing local golf, and it's the season for a lot of shotgun fundraiser tournaments.
Yeah.
So like this morning, I donated some lessons to the Sheriff's Youth Ranch. So we should probably put that link in there. I got to go see if they even have a web link for it. But if you're looking for some things to play in, and I did one for a Kentucky Derby type party fundraiser, one of my students asked. So this is the time of year that a lot of local charities raise money, for their causes.
And sometimes it's the only way you can get on some of these courses.
Yes.
Like if it wasn't for this event, I don't know how I'd get on Trump National. So a lot of these higher end charities and stuff, they go to these private clubs. That's your best way to get in and play, and you get to help a good cause.
Yeah, they donate the course. That's the ticket, and then you pay your fees, and they can raise, 10, 20, 30, 50, depending on how expensive the event is. But most little ones, they try to waive, a lot of these little church fundraisers and good causes, if they make $4,000, $5,000, $10,000. We did one for high school football years ago and made some money, so I'm used to that. But that's kind of what's going on down here. But so this week on the PGA Tour, it was the Zurich. That was in New Orleans, right?
New Orleans.
And interesting event because it's a 2-player event, right?
Team
event, so the scores are really low because there's 2 guys firing at every hole. And I forgot the name is Novak and
Ben Griffin.
Ben Griffin.
The third, yeah.
And that we watched some of that, and
That was each of them. That was their first win.
So
Their first win on
does
tour
that
for either
consider
one.
for lifetime like a PGA Tour win?
It's considered a PGA Tour
Because
win.
it's a PGA Tour
Gets them
event.
into the PGA Championship. Should get them into the Masters next
Both
year.
of them.
Yeah, both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool because
If they get into the rest of the signature events for this year,
so they move up the ladder because it's a win.
so yeah.
So for the rest of their life, they'll be considered a PGA Tour winner.
Yep.
No asterisk, no like little deuce number next to it.
No.
Wow. Because I watch it and I kind of, I got to be honest, not a fan of it. I kind of like watching tournament golf, right? Like, but again, I guess it's a good mix. And I don't know if the ratings are good on this or
they play better ball.
no, I get
And
it.
then they play alternate shot.
Yeah.
And they play better ball, and they play alternate shot again in the final round, which can be good or bad.
Alternate shot's hard.
Alternate shot is not
It's
easy.
very
especially-
hard.
especially when your partner hits one in the water
Or just
deep in the
hits
trees.
one bad shot and you got to recover, and then
Yeah.
you can go downhill really fast in alternate shot. I think that's what makes the Ryder Cup so interesting because they have the different formats. But the Ryder Cup, because it's every 4 years, there's so much build up to that, But we were watching. It was like that one putt that Griffin made coming down the.
17.
Yeah, he had a really that was a hard one, but that pretty much solidified the win, right?
Yeah. And that gave him a lead, and Jake Knapp and his partner Sappin, the two of them, they were tied standing on the tee, and Sappin, who happens to be a graduate from my daughter's university, Florida Gulf Coast.
Florida Gulf Coast, go Eagles, right?
Yep, fly Eagles fly.
Eagles fly.
Wings up. That's what
Is that what they do, like a shaka
they
sign?
do wings up. Yeah, I thought that was so funny.
That is hilarious.
When she started going there. But he hit one in the water on 17.
That kind of cost it.
They were able to get up and down for bogey, but that put them 2 shots back going into 19.
Can't make bogey coming down the stretch.
Going into 18, and
no matter what, you can't make a bogey down the stretch.
Yeah,
can't do it. So, but it was still a fun event. Hope if you watched it, something different to look at, and so.
McIlroy played. It was his first event after winning the Masters,
and he was with Lowry, right?
And with Lowry, and there was talk that and Lowry even asked him, I could get another partner. I understand you just got done with the Masters, and you got.
He said, "No, I'll play."
And Rory's like, "We're the defending champions. I'm not sitting this out."
Yeah,
Are you kidding
he
me?
probably enjoys it because they're countrymen, and it is probably a good time. For the tour players, I bet you they enjoy it because it's like team golf or college or stuff that they used to do when they're younger. But me watching it, I thought it was okay. I mean, I'm not blown away by it. But again, coming off the Masters and then watching, Hilton Head and the RBC, and it's kind of like, it's something fun. But
they could have made it real interesting on 18. They showed they get so many drone shots now. It's really cool with the drones that they're able to film.
So
and the 18th hole's a long par 5 with water all down the right side, and between the fairway and the water, it drops off, and there's a bunker that's probably 3 foot wide that runs the entire length of it. And laying in the bunkers in the grass right there were alligators.
Oh,
and there
boy.
must have been 10 or more.
Yeah, and they're little ones now because they're all growing. Their little ones are everywhere.
There must have been 10 or more at the end of the day yesterday. And I'm watching this going, man, what do you do if you hit one over there and they don't want to move?
And were they little ones or were they big ones?
They were pretty good size.
They could be feisty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were at least 5-6 feet.
Yeah, they were sunning themselves. Probably people throw food at them because they're there and they're just sitting there like, throw me something, right?
Yeah. I had that in high school. We played our home course was Port Malabar Country Club up in Palm Bay, and the 18th or the 9th hole, we knew there was a couple gators that lived in that pond or lake that went along the whole left side of and I hit one down the left side, and I get over there in the rough, and there's an alligator about 8-10 feet just laying there, and I'm like, I'm not hitting my shot until he moves.
Yeah, I don't.
And he wasn't about to move.
No,
and I'm like, nah, sorry, I'm not turning my back to him.
That's all you need. He just makes his decision
finally,
to come
when
bite your ankles.
showed up, he
scooted back.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah.
I had enough of you guys. And he went in the water.
The Saints golf course. We just played the other day with my son George, who was playing really well, and we tied, which is a big story in itself. But we'll talk about that. We already covered it in our other episode of Scruffy to Scratch and Golf Cart Cheddar. But that number 6, there is a giant bunker in 6, okay. And you can actually see the path that it uses that goes into the lake. And this one will go from 6 to the pond on 5, and it'll cross over to 4. It kind of has a route.
Mhm.
But that one always makes me nervous because, you hit the ball there in that hole a lot, and it's like a giant. So I always take a look around, make sure nothing's in there. But anyway, congratulations to the winners this week in the Zurich. And I did not know that still counts as a win.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal, right?
Oh yeah, very big deal.
And then next week, they're going to be heading to Texas, Byron Nelson. And it's called the Craig Ranch, TPC Craig Ranch.
TPC Craig Ranch in Fort, outside Fort Worth.
I do not know that venue.
Yeah.
It's not in my mental thing, but I need to watch it because I like to see.
They just did some, according to what I read, there was a bunch of renovations they did after last year's event. So maybe they toughened it up. Maybe they put some bunkers in some interesting spots. I have to laugh because it reminds me back. Remember when there used to be the little 9-hole course around Dodger Stadium up in Vero Beach?
Yep, for a long time.
The little.
I thought it was 18.
Well, there was 9 there, and then there was 18 somewhere else. But there was a little 9-hole course right there around Holman Stadium. And what's his name, O'Malley, that owned the Dodgers back at the time they built this. He would play with some of his buddies, and he'd see where his buddies liked to hit the ball on certain holes. And overnight, he'd have someone go out there and put a bunker there. So when they got to the tee the next day, all of a sudden there was a new bunker right there where his buddy has been hitting his drive for the last 3 days.
Where'd that come from? Oh, we had some plans in place. So that was his advantage.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. That's a good one. A lot of people don't know, but for years, the Dodgers used to be based in Vero Beach, and it was called Dodger Town. It was great. Holman Stadium was great. We took our boys there when they were little. My dad's a huge Dodger fan, so he was thrilled to go walk those. So historic, right?
Oh yeah.
It was so sad when the Dodgers moved away to Arizona, right? Because it kind of broke everybody's hearts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. They had all that stuff in there. But I do remember stories of like the people who own golf courses, and there was like a tree that was in the way a lot, and they cut the tree down the next day, when they played or stuff like that. But that's a good one. I didn't know about that one. But the Byron Nelson, I don't know the course, but I'm sure the field will be good, right? But Byron Nelson, a lot of people don't remember or know Byron Nelson and how good he was.
Good.
So let me tell you how good. This is my opinion about golf. Byron Nelson may have been the greatest player to ever live. And I'll say this. There's a reason why I say it. If you look at his history. So Byron Nelson and Hogan grew up in the same town as kids, right? They both come out of whatever it was, Fort Worth, Texas. I should know the name, but it'll pop in my head in a minute. And Hogan never beat Nelson. I mean, there's no, for all those years when they both turned pro, Hogan was always behind Nelson. And Nelson won 11 tournaments in 1 year. And if you look at the total, now again, these were through, he didn't play during the war. There was no tournaments. He wasn't able to go to war. Like he actually did the where you travel and you do like exhibitions to sell war bonds and stuff like that. But when this tour restarted, if you look at the years that he played, he was on a path to surpass, Sam Snead and Tiger Woods by a lot. And the only reason, so at 29, he retired because all he wanted to do was have a cattle ranch. And when he had won enough money to win a cattle ranch, to buy a cattle ranch, he gave it up and he only played exhibition. So we never got to see him play into the prime of his life.
Yeah.
So I think it was 40-something wins or something like that. So they were saying that if you looked at the longevity and you did 25 or 30 years, he could have won easily well over 100 tournaments.
Wow.
So if you think about that, that might have been the greatest player.
Yeah.
And
certainly, if you prorate it out, per year,
right,
you were actually playing competitive on tour.
Correct. And so 11 in a row. I don't care what year from. That's complete dominance.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So what does that do every year, right? How many wins would you have, right? I mean, if you played for 25, 30 years.
He won 11 in a row. That doesn't mean he won just 11 that year.
That's crazy.
He won 11 starts in a row.
Yeah, that's like if he won 10 a year, that'd be 100 in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so reason why I know this story so well is because I talk about Byron Nelson in my lessons, and here's why. And again, this could have been like over time, it's probably been moved around a little bit. But the story is, I think Byron Nelson's swing thought was the best swing thought of all time, especially with the driver.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard this one?
I have not.
Byron Nelson's swing thought was back to target,
Okay.
hands to pocket.
Okay.
So his idea was he wanted to make a full turn in his backswing and try to get his hands from the top of his backswing to his pocket
Okay.
before he makes contact with the ball, which, if you think about it, is a very easy way to remember to make a turn and get the club to come from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Where, over the top players, they would never get their hands by their pocket.
Never be even close.
Yeah, their hands are way out in front. So I always tell people, if you had to come up with, if I was speaking in an event, or maybe I was talking to a golf pro thing or whatever, and people say, people ask me, like, what's the best golf tip that you could give someone? And I would say, back to target, hands to pocket. And I tell them it came from Byron Nelson. So I've used that story a lot. So it's one of the stories I like to tell. And it always makes me reminisce when I think about Byron Nelson. I read a bunch, everything I could about him. He was a very, very fascinating guy.
Oh, yeah.
Very big-hearted, just loved his family, built a whole giant ranching business, did very well for himself. But, golf was always what he was associated with. And I think there was a couple times that he was kind of playing around with playing back a little bit. And, he just played a few here and there, like exhibition styles. But anyway, that was pretty cool. But anyway, you were going to tell me a little bit. You had a kind of an interesting take on the LPGA this week with the young lady that struggled.
The LPGA, they had their first major of the year, the Chevron. Wound up in a
five-way playoff.
It wound up in a 5-way playoff, which was interesting.
Well, interesting in kind of a sad way, but
yeah. Well, Araya Utangaran, or however, I forget.
It's hard to say.
I stumble through her last name. She had a chance to win this. The 18th hole was a par 5, and she was over the green in 2. Had a chance to just chip it up there on the green.
Base chip, nothing crazy.
Maybe make birdie.
It wasn't fluffy or weird or anything.
I mean, it was in the heavier grass.
There was a little thick, yeah.
And she just chili dipped it, just stubbed the club into the grass. The club almost stopped. It kind of nicked the ball, and the ball might have moved 3 inches.
Oh, heartbreaking.
And you get this look on her face like,
did I just do that?
Did that just happen? And her caddy was like, whoa.
His face was like,
look at her caddy face. His eyes lit up like, oh, this isn't good. So she knocked the next one on the green. She winds up 2-putting. She bogeys. So she goes from -8 to -7. And there were a couple of ladies that still had to finish. And one of them was already tied with her and finished in the clubhouse. And 3 more ladies wound up birdieing 18 to get to 7.
Oh, man.
So we wound up with a 5-way playoff.
5-way. Gosh, that's a terrible way to go in a playoff.
And in the playoff, Mayo Saigo, she birdies the 18th hole. Everybody else made either a par or a bogey, and she wins this thing. But it was great. I mean, a 5-way playoff is kind of crazy. There's golf balls all over the place.
Yeah, you don't see that too often. Yeah. Well,
you're watching. It's like, okay, that person laid up. That person went for it in 2. She's over the green. That person laid up their left. Okay, this person's, it's kind of hard trying to follow a playoff with 8 people, with 5 people.
It's tough, because it's very unusual.
And you got to think somebody's going to tie. One person might get burned, but
that's unusual. That's unusual where all 5 and a par 5, you think more than one person would make birdie.
Yeah.
But you can see how. So those of you who watch this, I have some students. A few of my students, hopefully more, start to watch these shows. But it tells you how difficult golf is, right? And we were just talking about it when we were doing Scruffy to Scratch, and I was having a conversation with George about hitting these little shots, and he had said off camera that what he finds happening is because on the course you want it to go good, like you need it to go good because you got to recover or whatever, right? Like that girl, she could have already been processing in her head, like, let me hit a good chip here so I can maybe win, right?
Yeah.
And in that moment where she loses her focus, golf's brutal, So you take a world-class player and now all of a sudden she just slides it underneath. Did she get too cute? Did she not work the club? Like, what did she do? She's probably had that shot, hundreds, if not thousands of times.
But she took, enough practice swings to know how the grass was going to react.
It just
for
didn't
some
react.
reason, it was completely different when she hit the ball.
Yeah, so she probably was trying to use the club underneath the ball and just maybe it was just like too soft. But anyway, who knows? But those, we know golf is hard. I was having a conversation with a lady today about taking lessons, and I was trying to explain that, she came and did a beginner class, which is great, and then sort of decided she was ready to go. And she joined the league, and she said, I did pretty good, like playing with some friends. And then I joined this league, and oh my gosh, like I couldn't find anything. Her entire swing wasn't there. And I was like,
oh no.
My brain was like, I don't think you had a swing. I'm not sure you had one when you left. Now, she might have been able to go play with some friends and hit some good shots and went, I'm okay. But you signed up for a league, and now you got to hit a ball, and everybody's like, hey, it's your turn. Tee it up, your turn. It's like, and everybody's like, oh, it's my turn, I got to go. It's like, now everybody's like, oh. And you can just see people crumble, right? Because it's hard. It's not making fun. It's just hard. So those of you watching that are maybe thinking about getting better at golf, just realize. And again, the conversation was, well, when how often did you practice? She go, I don't practice. I try to play.
See John Daly's
a couple days. Well,
swings.
Yeah, and he's not helping. You love John Daly, but that's not helping the regular person that's just going to say, I'm just going to pick this up and have that ability. I'm going to flip that club and be like, drink a Coke and pump my left hand and smoke my cigarette. That ain't going to work. I watch him every day. I watch so many swings at my golf course, and I wish I could help them all. Like, the part of me wants to go run and give cards to everybody, but I've been doing it so long. I'm like, they'll just show up when they're ready, because sooner or later, they're gonna want some help, or they keep watching YouTube till they're blue in the face. And again, there's great stuff on YouTube, but again, a lot of those guys on YouTube, they don't even have big lesson practices.
Yeah,
they're giving you like stuff that the tour players do, and they're good golfers. I mean, the stuff looks great. It's nothing bad, but can everybody do it? Is it enough to get you good? I don't know. Otherwise, everybody would be good at golf, and they're not. So.
And I'm guessing that a lesson plan for someone who maybe has 1 or 2 days a week to think about practicing is a lot different from somebody this is my career. I'm hitting balls every day for 4 hours and chipping them. I mean,
but that's not not reasonable, right? For most people work. But my thing was always like, you need to do something 2 days a week that's golf related. Whether it's in your yard making 50 swings, or chipping some balls while you're watching TV, or rolling a putter on the carpet in the house. I don't even need you to go to a golf course in the beginning. Buy some plastic or wiffle balls and just smack them around the yard. But you got to swing, and you got to swing with the right thoughts and the right ideas. Like, you can't just pick up the club and fire at it. That's not intuitive. Golf is not. It's not easy. So whatever you learn in your lesson, just try to apply it and make some progress. And then you got to go to the golf course at least one day. And if all you got is like time for 9 holes, just go a little early and chip and putt and hit some shots, and then play 9 and just keep working on it. It'll get better, but you got to keep practicing with it. But that's what Shoot Parnell is all about. So if those of you are interested or haven't checked out shootparnell.com, please do. You can actually join online and have my Academy membership, which will give you access to online learning apps. There's a bunch of drills to follow. You can learn the Shoot Parnell system. And if you're not in our area and you want me to take a look at your swing, you can even upload your video through our online teaching app. There's packages in there. There's things you can work on, but we can analyze it, kind of put you on the right path, and give you a game plan. That's really all most people need, is a game plan.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, check out Shoot Parnell. But so that was another full week. Anything else to add?
No. How's Scruffy the Scratch going? I mean,
so
how is he getting enough practice in?
So Scruffy's getting good.
Okay. I mean, you mentioned he tied you earlier, so I'm guessing.
Well,
that was a pretty big day for him.
Yeah, but I gotta, I'm not shading him at all, but I did not play well. I was all over the place. I made a ton of bogey. No, I didn't. It's not like I shot par, but he's getting close. I would say. Who's
the pressure of him?
No, he's getting used. No, it wasn't that. I don't play with pressure. I do the best I can, and some days I feel good, and some days I don't feel good, and some days I make a bunch of bogeys. That was the day I made a bunch of bogeys. But again, he's gonna get me. That's the whole point.
yeah.
Everybody gets
That's
me.
the whole idea.
Yeah, the
is to
older
have
I
him
get,
you,
I mean, my goal as a coach is my players should beat me. It doesn't happen that often, and sometimes I get lucky, and I play well, and I tell them, there you go. Yeah, go back in time. Can you imagine how great I was 30 years ago? Right? You can make up that stuff.
I kind of remember it.
Well, and it wasn't even that good. It's just better than now. But
I remember the round we played when you were out at St. Lucie West,
Mm.
and we had caddies.
Yeah, when I was trying to bring back the caddy program. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why that never caught on.
Oh, that was so good.
And we played in like a drizzly rain that day.
I played good that day.
And we played well. It was really weird because you didn't have to worry about your clubs. No, your caddy did all that.
I remember the kid too. It was Mike Salisbury, and he was at Lincoln Park. I was coaching him, and we had made a deal to caddy for me, and then I would give him his lesson week. So that was our deal. So once a week, he and I would go out and we would work. And I was trying to create a program for the kids.
Yeah,
I wanted kids to experience being caddies, and it was on the board. It just, people, you still have to pay the fee for the caddy, and a lot of people, they just want to pay the cart fee. They didn't want to pay. I think we were charging $50 for the caddy back then for 9 holes.
Yeah,
which is, and these are one bag walks.
Yeah,
not the 4 caddy, not the riders.
No,
one bag walking
caddy. It's like playing with a pro. You've got your own caddy.
Yeah, and they carry your stuff. And I wanted the kids because I thought it would be good for the kids. But it's funny you remember that because that was pretty fun.
That was a lot of fun.
We had a lot of stuff we used to when that was when you were writing for the paper and you would write. We'd write. I've got all those clippings somewhere too in a book somewhere, but it's a long time ago.
Cool.
Yep. Anyway, thanks for watching, and check out our episode next week. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, get on that keyboard and leave us a message.
Thanks for watching.